Okay, I'm gonna run through all the trades I did today. I'm doing it on Top Step, so we can see the 15-second time frame, because some of the trades I went into was because of that. So if we go all the way back to 2:30, I mean I didn't start trading until here. So the whole idea today for me was we came down. I was already anticipating coming down, close these lows. This low got closed. I was anticipating this low closing before the session. It didn't close, but then we didn't close the higher, so it's kind of a didn't really have a complete direction now. Once we closed out, made our way down to here. I was using the daily fair value gap. Didn't really care about anything else. Yep, daily fair value gap. Wasn't really looking at this, in fairness. Yeah, that was kind of all I was looking at. I was thinking, we close this, alright. So this candle here was kind of just coming back down to that order block. We got high and low. This is the order block for that high and low, in theory, right? So that's why yesterday I was looking at this wick. We went to the midpoint of it, and then from there we've just been going up. So my whole idea today was, ever since we got down to here, was to go up, and my target for the session was to get to here, and also the midpoint of that. So these are my two targets, and long-term target was here for the day, which we did get to. Next range up after that would be up here as well. So we'll go down. My first trade. My first trade was here. We closed this low. Oh, this high, sorry. The first high created in this range. We've got this moving back down. This level here, the midpoint of it, was the exact same level as the high of the fair value gap. I took that here. My stop loss was below this candle. Reasons I took this was because we got to where I wanted it to go. We closed the high here. I was already anticipating price going up from this moment forth. Let me just change my box back to how it should look. Yes, I was already anticipating price going up from here. I didn't care we closed this low. In this moment, before we came up, I wasn't changing my ideas. And in the moment we closed the high, even after we closed the low, it's kind of telling that there's no interest in shorts in that point. So I took that there. If we go to the 15-second, I took that there, and I got trailed out here. This black candle. Reasons why I went for that instead of here, where I was here initially. Once we closed above this high here and moved down, I was already here once this candle tapped into here, because I didn't want it to go any lower than that. So I ended up getting stopped out there, and that's where I would have got stopped out anyway if I was still in there. Well, actually I would have been stopped out here. But yeah, I think that was a pretty solid first attempt. 1.95 to start the day, and then after that we tried to get hold up, just lock that. We tried to get something, I think it was here. Yes, it was here. Okay, if we go back to the 15-second, Where's that range here? Okay, I was waiting for this to close. Waiting for this to close and it never did. And this also didn't close, so there was no reason to go lower. I was already anticipating price coming up to here, flipping momentarily, which it did do, but because we didn't get the close above here, I didn't try this trade here. Instead, I waited for this pullback here. This fair value gap, lowest fair value gap, already got broken. And then you had the order block and the inversion fair value gap here. So this was only going to flip direction for me, even though we closed the low, because my direction is up. We shouldn't go any lower than trading back down to here. Once we did trade back down to the lowest inversion fair value gap and the lowest fair value gap being now, and tap back into the daily, I went for the midpoint of this candle. If I didn't get that, I would have went for this anyway, the midpoint of that order block, and we took that all the way up. We took that all the way up until I got trailed out. Trailed out here, wherever it trails. Okay, cool. I was planning for the bigger move at this point, because you're up so much, like I said in some previous videos. Got stopped up there for 6.81 R. So after those trades, the price action today, in my opinion, was really straightforward. Just kept closing highs, holding order blocks over and over again, using these bearish order blocks to flip direction. This is something I was going to go for, but I second guessed it and didn't. Like I said, we're only using these to flip direction, right? This is the highest order block. This never got tested into after closing, so I was anticipating a flip here, which it did do, and where it trades into is going to be the next range down, but hasn't been traded into after the high has been closed. So I was looking here because it closed in this candle. If it closed in this candle and then this candle had this wick down, I wouldn't have been looking at this range. I was looking at that range. There was no hold. That didn't really mean anything to me, because I'm just looking for when it's going to hold. You can look where, but you're just reacting to what happens earlier. So once we hold here, we get the flip. We never closed really any internal low. There's no low. We closed to this order block, right? So this isn't really been activated. The low's here. There's no low on the 1 minute time frame till here. So this is only going to flip. And once it did, I remember taking this. So I was looking for this to hold. We took this trade, which was the exact same level. That's why I thought it was good. We took this here. We're going to the 15-second. And notice something here. I was stopped out and then it ran. But right after that, after missing out on that trade, we took this one wide out, closed the high. No reason that this is going to hold, right? Already tried to hold anyway. Lowest fair value gap, traded into. I'm sorry, wrong thing. Lowest fair value gap. we're just using the same thing that's been happening all day, of just closing highs, testing back down, only seeing these things to flip direction. We took that, we got stopped out. We'll just go back up to 15 again. We got stopped out on this candle. So let's have that. I had my stop loss here. I got stopped out here because this candle went so high. It lasted a couple of seconds. And I was like, I don't want to go any lower than that at this point. So I was just trailed here. Obviously that came down. And then once this closed here, because it was going choppy for a while, once we closed there, my direction was already back on track to go higher. So if this closes, this closed here, right? Well, this is the order block for this higher that got closed. So I was already anticipating price back down to here. Whatever higher gets closed in chop is gonna be the order block it goes to. It tested here, right? But we didn't close the higher. Once we close the higher, it's gonna return back down to it. What's it doing at the same time? It sweeps lows. Swept this low. This is the higher, correct from this low. And this will target here. We're going to the 1 minute. Once I noticed that on the 15, in this candle here, so we swept. I was waiting for something. This is what I got. Once we closed here, that was another sign. This traded back down. Swept it in the process as well. On a swing. Took this. Got tried up very early though, unfortunately. Just a misplay on my behalf. A real misplay actually. I was using this wick here. I was thinking, in the moment, I don't want to go any lower than this wick. It was stupid really. I wasn't really anticipating it running this high, you never can, but I was using that wick, I didn't want it to go any lower. If I just waited, like I normally do, I don't know why I didn't this time. If I just waited, I would have trailed. Got this massive candle. Trailed aggressively at this point because it's such a big candle. Trailed aggressively again. I'm sure I would have got stopped out here. I wouldn't have got the bigger part, but that's how I would have played it. That time I didn't. Don't know why. But we was right on the idea. I was actually right on 100% of my ideas, so I didn't have one wrong idea. And then the last two trades I took, I didn't take anything here. There was nothing here that looked good. There was no real reason to enter a trade really. On the 15-second it looked okay. You know, right? If there's no range on the 1 minute, take a look what's happening on the 15-second. It's going to be so telling. Close this. Okay, so once we close this, this is just going to come back to this range to hold it. It does so. In the meantime, it closes this, so we're going to flip that direction. Flips that direction. Sweeps these highs. Okay, if it sweeps the highs, it doesn't break higher, and this doesn't hold. Well then, once we come back down to here, this is your final line defense, because in theory, right, we close this higher for this order block. Once that doesn't hold and we come down, this range here is already telling you you're going lower anyway, and there's no reason to go higher because everything up here has been tested into. But I decided to sit that downwards price action out until we got back down to this range here. Let's look on the 5 minute. This range broke us out, so I was looking at this range and also this range here. And I was kind of looking at this as the order block, obviously of the range here. There's a smaller range here of an order block. It's kind of just using the low to see if it's going to sweep it, break the high of it, the low created. Once we got back down here, I was waiting for this to go, and then go on a lower time frame. I didn't care about this going. Why? Because this went. This is already telling you it's going to close. And we come back down, we hold that range. Hold that range here. I remember getting a trade in this range here. Took a break even. Close, we came down. I took the trade off of this candle, so this candle here, it went up, I took a break even. But it was already telling where price was going, it was going to go back up. Okay. So price went on, and notice I'm using the 15-second time frame to identify chop. When chop's going to break, we go on the 15-second, and I identify what side is breaking out. And in this instance, the higher broke, so it's chopping to go higher, which it did. I'm sure this range is kind of the same. I mean, we did broke higher here, right? But then we just dumped anyway, because on the 15-second we had a whole couple of ranges happening up here that broke before that, and that's just an interior high in the grand schemes of everything that was happening here. By the time this closed, the direction was already set in stone. Okay, then the last two trades I took weren't too bad. I actually missed out on a pretty good trade in this range here. We swept this. Go on to the 5-minute. This was the next range. Highs closed. Highs closed. Just trying to think where I took this trade. Okay, high close on the 15. No, I took that way earlier than when it closed. One sec, let me. Okay, cool. It says I took it at 620, 621. And yeah, we did the sweeping route. We was going to come back down. No reason to go lower or have a flip in direction until we go higher up here. I'll go to the 1 minute in a second. Just run you through what I was looking at. Closed here, right? It's going to flip the direction, which it did do. Swept. So once we sweep, I'm no longer looking at this range to do anything. Hop onto here at the same time. We closed the 1 minute higher. So if we're closing the higher, closing the higher, this order block becomes the next best thing. Next thing, the range, and it shouldn't do anything until we get here. There's just no fair value gap. There's not really anything here. So until we get to here, nothing's going to happen. And we go here. It says I got trailed out at 6:27. 6:20. 6:27. I got trailed out there. Okay. So we closed here. I was trailed here once we closed there. Now remember, coming up this higher and trading aggressively because I thought direction was going to flip. So once this was coming down, I was just looking for somewhere to trail, because this candle right opened here, so I trailed there straight away, and then literally a second later it came down. But regardless, I would have been stopped out there if it was a couple of candles later. So yeah, that was that trade, and then I took a break even as my last trade in this range here. This one was completely my bad. Again, I had two errors today really. It was the same error as well. It was the same error. Remember that big wick I trailed to because I didn't want it to go any lower than it. I did the exact same thing. Charged for 0.56R and it just ripped. Generally no reason why I did that. I think it was just because in this moment we didn't close here, and I thought, oh, if we didn't close there, and then I think if it comes down it's going to go. The grand scheme of things, right, there is a tiny ass range here that we close, so it's going to come and hold this again, which it did. It's funny looking at things in hindsight and how simple it looks, but in the moment sometimes you just make stupid errors. But yeah, I think that was everything I did today. We can take a run through what's happening right now though, real quick. So we're up at this point now, going the 4 hour. I still think if anything's going to happen going back down, it's not going to happen until we get back up to here, or maybe it'll happen now because we've returned to this inversion fair value gap here, this 4 hour. I'd like to take a look at that. We're at the high point, which at the start of the day that was my next range to trade to, and we have got there. We've closed this higher, so for the next couple of hours we should be working our way back down to here. I wouldn't be surprised if we didn't and we held here, because this is the highest fair value gap going down, or the lowest fair value gap, because there's no other fair value gap. So if we was to go up, we'd have to go up here. If not, order block, I would remain directional bias of up until we fail this here. We fail this here, and then the whole process of moving up, today from here is failing. Once we close there, we're probably going to close here. If we close there, we'll close here, come down to this weekly level. So that's what I think if this doesn't hold. Take a look at the 5 minute. It's still too early to say if this is going to hold or not. Let me put that back on the screen. That fair value gap. Don't know why I got rid of it. Yeah, it's too early to see if this is going to hold or not. We're going to the 1 minute. What's happening? Is there anything you could have tried? Yeah, it's definitely. But this is going to flip the direction. We didn't trade into it. Okay, it's fine. We never gained that, so no, I wouldn't have tried that. If anything, I wouldn't have really tried anything other than trying to go for here. It's a swing as well, but we didn't gain it. Kind of in that choppy price action, but it's kind of telling right now what's going on, right? Closing the lows. Closed one high. That's a 15 second. We're just going lower and lower so far. We're close here. This realistically needed to close here to go tackle this range up here. And so we closed the low. Come back to the order block for right now. You could have realistically, I know it's a 15-second time frame, but realistically, if this was a 1 minute, you'd be taking it down all the way down to there. I wouldn't have done it here actually. Looking at this, we swept here. We swept here. In my opinion, we could be creating that move up, even though it looks like we're going down. Be looking to see if this closes. If this closes, I'd be interested in this. This has been traded into. This has been traded into. This has been traded into. This hasn't. So it's kind of just to see what happens here, right? But yeah, I end it there.